get a preview together for one of the most unique rounds of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, the Sand of Southwick, Massachusetts, coming up this Saturday. You can 4 motos live on Peacock, and you can watch practice starting at 10 a.m. also. Racing starts at 1 p.m., all Eastern time. Jason Weigandt, joined by multi-time motocross and supercross champ Grant Langston, and Ashley Reynard, who has been patrolling the racetracks for us the last couple of weeks. The story in this sport, it's pretty obvious. Dylan Ferrandis has won 3 of the first 4 rounds. That's phenomenal for a rookie. Rookies have won this title before. Ken Roczen has done it. Ricky Carmichael did it. Ryan Dungey did it. But Grant, it doesn't make it any less spectacular to see him do this, especially the way he's doing it. I call it the danger zone. If he gets you in his sights late in the race, you're probably done. It's pretty impressive what we've seen from him so far.
Yeah, one of the things that I've really respected from him a lot this season, and I wouldn't just say this season, but in general, is his ability to dig deep, to fight, and put the pressure back on the other guys. I mean, I think if you look back, that mistake from Roczen was he was pushing hard, you know, and Ferrandis has put his competition a little bit on the back foot. And all of a sudden you see the other guys make mistakes and he's just putting it together. You know, his worst result has been 1 third-place finish. Everything else has been second or first. So, you know, when you talk about that sort of consistency, it's been quite phenomenal. And I've got to be honest, a bit of a surprise to me, and I think maybe a few other people out there. And you know, I think in the beginning it was Fox Raceway, maybe just a stroke of good luck, and then you see it just compounding. And now you start wondering, you know, who's going to step up and be able to beat him. And I just don't know at the moment. I think on certain weekends he can be beat by certain individuals, but as long as he's getting these podium results, he's a tough guy to beat.
Yeah, so for a while it looked like it was him and Roczen. They were going back and forth for the points lead and the race wins, but now we've seen Roczen get squeezed off the podium. He's been close the last 2 races. So Ashley, what do you think there? Is there a drop-off from Roczen? Is it just circumstances? What have you seen from those 2?
I don't really think that Roxon's dropping off. I just think that for him, he doesn't like to push the edge as much as the other riders. So when he's out there and against the competition, I think that he doesn't like to ride the edge like we see Ferrandis or Tomac riding the edge of the track and maybe going that extra that they need to go. So I think Roczen just needs to learn how to ride out of his comfort zone a little bit more and minimize those mistakes. Good to see him get up very fast, regroup after that crash that we saw. It was a pretty hard crash, and especially regroup after that case that he did on Morocco's leap, because there's a lot of question marks around his arms. He's had a lot of procedures on him, and for him to take that big of a case on a jump that size and just be able to regroup as fast as he did, I think it was a win for him in that moment.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting because Ken came into this series saying I was not really reconnecting with motocross. My speed was off. I don't know how I'm going to do. Now we're really seeing some heart. He's really trying hard, like for his big case. He could have thrown in the towel and dropped back several positions, but he didn't even really lose much speed after that. So you're really seeing Ken go for this title and try. We don't know if it's going to work out. On the other end, you got Aaron Plessiger, who was very good the last couple of races. He's right in there. And then we're kind of waiting on some others. So, Grant, I'll go to you first. You've got Chase Sexton, and you've got Adam Cincerillo. They've been super fast, but the wins aren't coming. Which guy would you pick to be the one that will get a win first? Or is it neither? Is neither of them going to break through?
Well, you know, that's always the golden question, I think. But, you know, both riders, like you said, have shown speed. I think that Cincerillo's had more opportunities being up front, that, you know, he just has made mistakes again. And it's got to be frustrating for him, because I know it's frustrating to watch. And then same with Chase Sexton. Too many first-turn pileups, too many times coming from behind. At the end of the motos, we see the speed that he's got. You know, if you look at the previous round, you know, at Redbud, he goes down the first turn, he's dead last. Cooper Webb was leading the race. They crossed the finish line right behind each other. You know, Chase had caught all the way up. So we know the speed and the potential's there, but we've had 8 motos, and, you know, he hasn't, besides the opening round, he hasn't put the result together. And another guy that it's a little frustrating to see all this talent just not, you know, providing the results at the moment. But, you know, Southwick is a different type of track, and I think you're going to see different types of results. It's sandy. I know a lot of the Florida boys will like it. But then again, I also think some of the European experience for Ferrandis and Roczen is also going to come into play. You know, if you race GPs, you learn how to ride the sand. So I think there's a lot of guys that can be competitive this weekend. Southwick's one of those tracks. It's a real man's track. You got to try hard, work hard. It's going to wear the guys out, but it could be a good weekend for those guys if they can cut out those mistakes.
That's right. Ashley, you're watching it trackside, and Grant's right. We've seen Sexton down in way too many first-turn crashes. We've seen too many crashes from Cianciarulo. Do you have a guess here of which one might be in a better position for that big breakthrough?
I'd like to say Chase Sexton is hungry for it, especially after last weekend and the way that he approached the media, talking about how he's not satisfied with the 8-4 finish on the weekend. And I just go back to thinking about that first 250 Supercross title that he won. He was actually almost disappointed in it, and surprisingly, because he had lost all those races to Forkner, and then he came back and won the championship once Forkner had the ACL injury. I didn't think he was satisfied until he backed up that championship, and I think he's in the same situation right now. Even though he's riding well and he's putting good laps in, he's not satisfied until he is absolutely perfect, and he's a competitor. So if I know Chase Sexton at all, he's working as hard as ever, even though he kind of mentioned that he probably won't even train if he's going to be 4, 5, or 8-4 finish on the weekend. So I think Chase Sexton is going to be working hard this week, and they'll come out swinging in Southwick.
Yeah, and for Cianciarulo, he finally kind of coughed up what the issue has been for him late in the motos. We've seen him battle with the front runners, and then the last 12 to 10 minutes of the race completely drop off the pace. He was saying it was arm pump, which is kind of a common motocross ailment, but now he's traced it back officially to this nerve problem he had in his arm, which also bothered him last year. He got a procedure done at the end of 2020, hoping to fix it for this year. He says it really hasn't gotten better, so he's going to try something again in this offseason. So I don't know if we're just on the how many minutes before he starts to drop off watch for the rest of the season for Cianciarulo, or we'll see if it's something that he can manage. You mentioned the sand at Southwick, Grant. Yes, the European riders know how to ride sand. There's a lot of it over there, but this track's a little different. Explain what makes Southwick so unique compared to most other tracks, especially compared to other tracks in this championship.
Well, for me, the first time I came over was 2001, and same thing. I knew it was a sand track, and I was hoping to do well with my sand experience. But I remember when I got there, I remember thinking it actually wasn't even that sandy. It definitely gets rough, but it's compared to some of the European tracks, it's just quite a bit different in the sense that Southwick has a hard base, which you don't often find at sand facilities. It's usually that's why it's sand, but underneath there is some hard ground. Different parts of the track, what I call the newer section when they go to the backside of the track, it's not even that deep. There's actually rocks and it's a little bit choppy. So it's a very much more of a hybrid type track. But one thing's for sure, if it's often hot, humid, and you have to be in great shape. Those things won't change. But we've seen all these guys, they're in great shape, but they've all been riding at such high intensity. I'm just curious to see who really is that fit right now, who can conserve their energy during the moto. But I'm also curious to see who's going to fade. I think that's going to be one of those things that'll happen this weekend.
Yeah, it's true. These guys have been pushing really, really hard. We'll switch over to the 250 class here real quick. So we had this breakthrough win from Jalek Swoll at round 3 in Pennsylvania. And then he kind of went back to where he was, kind of between 5th and 10th at round 4. Now his teammate on Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, RJ Hampshire, he has the breakthrough. Very fast, and he wins at Redbud. So what do you think, Ashley? Is this he just had a good day thing, or is this a sustainable thing from RJ?
I'd like to think it's sustainable. I mean, if you look at RJ, we were saying he could get a moto win if he could limit these mistakes that he's having, these crashes that he's having. Well, he crashed, I think, 2-3 times in that first moto and still won. And then he comes on the podium and says how sick he is and could barely talk. And so I think for RJ, if he is healthy and has that confidence and knows that he has the ability to win with that many mistakes and also a sickness, he could build off that and continue coming forward. So he was just on another level on Saturday, and I would like to think that the trend could continue for that Rockstar Husky rider.
Yeah, and he's a Florida native. Again, sand is different there than Southwick, but still he should be pretty comfortable on this track. And one more rider to ask you about, Ashley. You got to talk to Jeremy Martin real quick on the podium at the end of the day. He's coming back from 3 different injuries. Probably could have called it a season, but he's a warrior, and he's still out there. So that was a pretty gutty ride to get inside the top 5.
It really was. And I talked to him at the beginning of the day and said, no one no one expected you to come back this early from all these injuries. And we know that your shoulder was injured, and then your navicular was injured, and then you had the fingers get hurt at Thunder Valley. So he said, I just can't sit on the couch. And I know I mentioned this on the broadcast, and he can't watch his competitors. He spent too many seasons injured, and he's just driven to be out there. All of us were not sure what to expect, but it just shows a lot about his heart and how much he loves this sport.
Yeah, definitely good to have more contenders in there. You still have Jet Lawrence and Justin Cooper tussling at the top of the stand. They've been exchanging. One is a good moto, one is a bad moto. It's allowed other riders to get in there and get some race wins. That's what makes the 250 class fun. It's usually unpredictable. 450 class has been unbelievable. And then we throw in a wild card type of racetrack like this. It should be really fun. We'll have all the motos live on Peacock starting at 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. And you can also watch practice starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And the three of us will be there, and hopefully you too. We'll see you at Southwick.